Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome to 3302. This is where I take a look at the news and happenings in and around Elite Dangerous. Today we take a look at the upcoming beta release for patch 2.2. There's some news from the Colonia Space. Frontier are thinking of dropping support for Windows 32 and DX10, and the launch of the Small Worlds expedition gets underway. Beta is very nearly with us. Patch 2.2 arrives at some point tomorrow, hopefully before midnight UK time. Now, we all probably know by now what this update to the Guardians is going to include, but let's have a quick rundown of some of the features. The headline features, of course, are ship-launched fighters, the ability to deploy fighter ships from your main ship. And I feel it's very likely that this new feature will dramatically change the dynamics of the game. Another headline feature is passenger missions along with the Beluga liner. Passenger missions, of course, are something I've been long looking forward to, but right now I'm actually waiting to see how they're going to play out before I get my hopes up too high on that particular feature. And of course, there is the arrival of NPC crew members. Now, these will be piloting your fighter ship, or you can leave them behind when you go out in your fighter to control your main ship. Now, it's possible, there's speculation of course, that these NPC crew members could pave way for NPC crew in patch 2.3. That is something that Frontier initially said we wouldn't get, but as they're being introduced here, it seems a distinct possibility. Other features for the update include new station interiors. These look absolutely stunning and something I'm very much looking forward to. And it's also going to be new space-based objects, smaller stations that, although we can't dock with or interact with initially, they are nonetheless going to provide new environments. And talking of graphical updates, there will be some upgrades to some of the stellar phenomena out there, such as pulsars and neutron stars. I'm also hoping, as with the previous updates, there's going to be a bunch of graphical updates that they haven't actually yet announced. Of course, this is only a very small list of everything that's going to be included, and I'll be with you throughout the week, bringing you videos and updates as the patch goes live. That new bubble of humanity out there at DX Space, now officially called Colonia, has hit a little bit of a snag recently. For months now, there's been many commanders out there in that region of space busying themselves building a new wonderful community, and it really is a very friendly area of space. Many of these players have banded together into a loose-knit group called the Colonia Citizens Network. This isn't a player group, but it is rather a communications hub that has its own Discord server, and you can see and access that through the video description below. The Colonia Citizens Network, along with other groups and other players out there, really have very much made Colonia what it is today. Now, quite naturally, Frontier also have their own plans for this area of space, and just recently they sent out an email to group leaders asking for their opinion on an upcoming event. Frontier's idea is to introduce player groups into DX Space or Colonia, basically a one-by-one through a voting system, and that these player groups will then vie and combat each other for territory out there through means of manipulating and controlling the background system and other scenarios. It's extremely interesting and a nice touch to see Frontier involved actively in further populating and enhancing the second bubble of humanity out there, which initially was a player-run initiative or a player-run request. Now, to start off with at least, many players that have long been working out there in Colonia Space felt that Frontier may just have thrown a spanner in the works with their newly announced plans. They feel that Colonia is very much a region of cooperation, exploration, and banding together towards common goals. In that sense, it gives Colonia a very different playstyle to what exists within the current bubble of humanity. But perhaps some of that could be at risk with Frontier introducing conflict and war out there. Now, this is only the surface level of the discussion. There is a fairly extensive forum thread with active Frontier involvement in it, and if you're interested in the subject, you can go there and check it out. I'll link it in the video description. We know from the past though that Frontier are always willing to listen to their community and feedback that's offered to them. And of course, that area of space, DX Space, has only been called Colonia due to the fact that players started calling it that. Frontier then gave it that name, and of course there is now Colonia Hub out there, that new planetary base which is the home of the Colonia Citizens Network. However this all eventually unfolds, it's certainly very nice to see that there is going to be a new area of inhabited space within the galaxy. Further related to Colonia, there is a new community goal that plans on connecting the two areas of inhabited space to each other, and will achieve this by creating a load of outposts along the 22,000 light-year route, something that is much needed and I'm sure a lot of commanders are going to appreciate, and of course this will make it that much easier for other players to get out that way. The community goal is set to run for 4 weeks and should after that time be completely successful, therefore giving players a relatively safe path out to Colonia. In a new forum post from David Braben, he discusses that Frontier are considering dropping support for both Windows 32 and DirectX 10 for Elite Dangerous. He discusses some of the reasons why they're considering this, which include the fact that dropping those would speed up development time as well as enable them to offer better performance as well as increased special effects for the game. He goes on to express that just 0.5% of the community actually still use or have used in the past Windows 32, whilst 2% of the community are using a DirectX 10 cards. Now, whilst they may seem like relatively small percentages, they still ultimately consist of high numbers of players. He issued a time frame that they would consider doing this in and say it'd probably be no sooner than 6 months. Therefore, giving the players that still run on Windows 32 or use a DirectX 10 graphics card time to do something about it and make the necessary changes. What I find quite interesting about this, and is possibly totally unrelated to David's statement, is that with the release of Horizons last year, they said it was DirectX 11 only due to the high performance requirements of the planetary generation. Now it's quite likely that Season 3 will also have some quite high requirements, making it very difficult for the development team to continue supporting Windows 32 and DirectX 10 cards. Now that's just pure speculation of course, but that 6-month window would take us out to March, which is round about when some people have been expecting to hear news of a Season 3 release. Finally, the Small Worlds expedition got underway this weekend to tremendous success, and you can see a small clip here of their launch video. The Small Worlds expedition is a bit different to all the other previous expeditions in that for this journey, pilots are required to use only small ships. The journey consists of 10 waypoints, totaling well over 15,000 light years, with arrival at the final waypoint set for the 7th of October. It looks like it's going to be a very exciting and quite a special expedition, so congratulations to everyone involved for successfully getting underway. So then, that brings us to the end of this episode of 3302, and I will be back in a week with many videos on the 2.2 update, so do keep an eye out for all of that. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.